Hello, everyone, and welcome to my show that's hosted by Unique Voices in Films and the Path of Consciousness. Today, my special guest is Franz Sidney. Hello, Franz.
Hey, hello, William. Nice to see you today.
Nice to see you as well. And I met Franz because she recently interviewed me. And then I heard amazing things about her life story. So I said, hey, I have to have you on my podcast as well. So Franz is an Anglo-Italian artist, designer, illustrator, and hypnotherapist. She's also the host of Create with Franz, a podcast with the mission of helping others to design the life they want using mindset, creativity, and faith. Franz is an eclectic person who loves lifelong learning and is currently based in Wyoming. So I have to start from the very beginning, Franz, because I think your background is so interesting. So where did you grow up and what kind of environment shaped you?
Okay, so I was born and grew up for the first 22 years in Sardinia. That's the second biggest island, as when you're talking about Italy and in the Mediterranean. And then I moved to the north of Italy, and then I moved again. So that's my first environment was Sardinia, several areas of Sardinia. In Italian, it's called Sardegna, and it's a very, very ancient civilization and language and culture. And we have a very interesting demographic history. As you well know, not only we probably come from Neolithic farming people of Europe, but we can come from even before because the human remains we have in Sardinia date to 18,000 years ago. So that's much earlier than Neolithic farmers. So because of that, we are a very solemn people and we have an amazing language, very close to Latin. I think it's only 8% different from Latin. And this language is divided in dialects. So I grew up hearing Nuorese, Campidanese, Gallurese, all the different dialects, and understanding them. For some miracle, we knew all these languages. So the environment was very interesting because we had the traditional values of the 60s, very close-knit families, lots of nature, sunshine, the beach. So being outdoors, doing things outside, family reunions, all the time. We were always with our family. And Sardinia is very pastoral, so you have a fisherman all around the coast, and you have a shepherds in the middle. So you have a diet that is the Mediterranean diet, which is probably one of the reasons why we are in the blue zones with Okinawa and other people in Korea. I think we can be centenarian. Like my great-granddad, he was 92 when he died. He's never been to a doctor. He had all his teeth. He was fine, and he was active all the way to the month when he died, actually to the same day when he died. He went upstairs to get some tea. He went to bed and he died. And that was it. So life was very different with a very slow pace in Sardinia compared to what we have now.
And then what other influences have you had in European influences? Because I believe that you traveled out of your birthland at some point, and what brought you to the United States? How did that journey happen?
So
Because that what you just described, it's like, who wants to leave from there?
Yeah, well, who on earth wants to leave? The thing is, you are 20s. I love art and music, dance, gymnastics, all things that were not really my area. Traveling was out of question. So my uncles came from Milan. We're all in Lombardia, which is the hub of Italy. And they say, hey, why don't you come with us? You have nothing to do here. And literally, aside from being a DJ, which I've done for 5 years in Sardinia, there was really nothing for me because my parents wanted me to be in their company to do accountancy. And I was like, no, I was a qualified accountant, but I really wanted to do art. So I moved to Milan, and for 7 years I was there. So I went to the Polytechnic of Design. I studied design for many years. I went to architecture university. I worked for stained glass studios. I've been an apprentice for Disney Italia, so I was a comic artist for them as well. So there were lots of stuff to really explode. And then life changed again. I was then 27 and I became a member of the LDS Church. Some people call it Mormon. So I went on a mission to Greece in Athens. And I started to have this taste of life is It's good even outside. You can explore outside of Italy. I had visited Spain. And so after my mission, I saw, well, I kind of like England. We've been twice for holidays. Let's go. And so in May 96, with my keyboard and one suitcase, I moved to England and I stayed there all the way to 2024. So that's how I moved. I literally said, let's try this. And within a few months, I was working as a language tutor, teaching Italian, teaching Greek. And then I went back to my design roots and back again illustration for all these years. And languages, I love languages because I grew up with 5 or 6 languages, including Portuguese. So it just been like a lifelong learning, exciting journey for me all the time. I miss my land, I miss Italy, and I miss England. And now 2 years in Wyoming. So
How does it feel being here in the United States, given so many years that you've lived, in Europe? What are your thoughts about it
yeah,
here?
yeah, it's very different here in America. It's just a different culture. So you have to understand when you move, you need to have a mindset of learning, blending, and sharing and growing. It's not like all we do in my country is right and in your country is wrong. It's like exploration. And I knew Wyoming from all the movies about, Fort Laramie and Butch Cassidy and all this stuff. And just to live near the prison where he was held is like, whoa. And it's different. There are lots of things that are similar to Sardinia. Sardinia is very dry, not as much as here, but we are here over was about 2,000 meters above the sea, so 7,200 feet. So I get static electricity. That's different. But you have these wild open skies, and in Sardinia you have that. You have lots of rocks. We have rocks in Sardinia, but we don't have a sea. I miss the sea so much. That's totally different.
But it seems like you were able, as you're moving, you're able to embrace your new area easily. Was your career path, does that make it easier because you have something? I know creatives normally like look within to create things, and that kind of sustains them. So do you feel that your work helped you adjust quickly? It seems like you were able to embrace whatever area that you lived in.
Mhm. It is true. I mean, I'm just so curious. I'm like, wow, how do people do this? How do they do that? So I learn, I go to an area, discover what they're doing. Is there a roller skating area? I'll go. Is there a park? I go and photograph all the animals there. And there must be something, there must be an art and craft club, and I go there. Is there any language teaching? I go there. So I just pick up what I like and I just go deeper. And every country will have their own way of living it, like music and dancing is taken differently here. And so you just want to analyze. I don't like everything, but I always find intriguing. If you have some curiosity, you find interesting stuff, even in the desert like here.
So, so that's a beautiful attitude and healthy attitude, in my opinion. But on your podcast, I know that you've interviewed many, many people, and I was wondering, what advice would you give people that sometimes are, even though they might be creatives, or it doesn't even have to be creatives, just people in their path where they really get thrown off track because they change the environment that they're in, or in your case, you were searching, you find there's so much curiosity and you go and you search and you kind of blend in despite your accent and you being from a different, you only being here 2 years, right? But right, that it doesn't hold you back. You don't seem to create excuses for yourself. But given the number of people that you have from your own experience and the people that you have interviewed, what do you think is the major thing that holds people back, especially when they are coming from a different, whether it's a different state or a different country, from your perspective?
So there are lots of things that the very big one that I always find in therapy sessions is that people think they're never good enough because we compare ourselves to others, and especially with social media, it's very easy to look at what other people are doing and think, wow, I can never do that. And when we do that, what we're doing, we're giving a clear instruction to our mind that we can't do it. And that really works well because we are now stuck because we tell ourselves a story and we believe a story is true. but is it?
And how do we challenge ourselves with that question so that we can get a little bit unstuck? Now, I know I've had these stories. I worked years to get unstuck from certain stories that I lived in, but it took quite a while. But if you were just to share one step for somebody that they could just do today to practice it, what would that be? What do you think is something that is not to resolve everything, but just something that they can hold on to that could help them shift away from that being stuckness?
Right. So there are nowadays a lot more tools than we had 30 years ago. So you can get a course, a book, a coach, a hypnotherapist, a friend, an art forum on Facebook, a group on Reddit, somebody there that it can help you to see what is possible. And also sit down, look at what would you like to do and see what is important for me, what is actually mattering for me. Where do I want to be in 2 years from now? Don't talk about 10 years, talk about 2 years, otherwise you freeze. What would I like to see? And then you go back and you start thinking, if I want to have, I don't know, the ability to paint pottery in 2 years, what do I have to be able to do in 1 year and in 3 months? And what is the step I have to take in 2 weeks? And what is that I have to do today that can take me to that step? So chunk it down. We make everything complicated, but if you chunk it down to get a degree, you have to first decide what you want, then walk to the university or go online and fill out the form. Then you have to go to the class. It's the same for every skill. You have to see what does it have to happen next. First is your mindset. Why do I want this? What do I want and why? Where do I want to be? What steps I want to take? If you are stuck, then that's when you work with your subconscious, so working with a therapist. But if you're not stuck emotionally, so you really want to do it, you just don't know how to, then you grow to all these groups. There are hundreds of groups for all sorts of arts, singing, dancing. And while some can be a little bit judgmental, don't really want to help you in lots of the art group or photography group, there are other, and I think it's a majority, where they share how they did it. And there is also the business part. A lot of people don't want to do art, singing, dancing, acting, photography, because they think there is no money in that. So then it's useful to study your mindset, see what is stopping there, your progression, and then study a little bit of business, study marketing, understand what is a market, because you can be the best actor, singer, visual artist, but if you don't understand marketing, nobody will see your work. So it's a bit of a thing, and coming from a business family, I can see that it's no longer like the 80s, but now the human part matters so much, which is why you were in my podcast very recently. Being human. I don't care about all the AI slop. They can create a whole movie using AI. That's fine. It's a tool. You can use it, but it's not going to replace humanity completely. So we all have something to give. You are enough is the first message we have. You can get better. You can do courses. You can read books. You can ask friends. You can go to the library. Which one is the easiest for you to go now? What can you do today? Look in your calendar or event. Is there a workshop you can take now? Is there a phone call you can do? You can contact somebody on LinkedIn, on Facebook, and say, hey, how did you get there? Can I ask you questions? Most people are very happy to share.
Yeah, it's just so simple. I like how you said, what is the easiest thing that you can do right now? So it's not something like you don't have to overthink it, over prepare. Sometimes those little steps that we take for granted are the life-changing things that can add on. It's like these baby steps. And you brought up the subconscious. I'll never forget many years ago, we had a family-owned video store, and one of the customers at that time, her and I became friends, but she came up to me one day and she said, I have a gift for you. And it was a book called The Power of Your Subconscious Mind by Dr. Joseph Murphy. It was the first time I was introduced to the concept of how our inner mindset, how much it really messes up our attitudes. I started reading it, and I loved that he came from a very spiritual place. So it wasn't just about how to change, but even how to pray versus, just the wordings that goes.
Mm,
And somebody as myself, even from that time as a wordsmith, hadn't realized the importance of what words do to your life and how you can how they arrange your life. Misery versus happiness starts from within. So when I discovered that was just really life changing. But then I started I think like a book is amazing. It really just shifts your mind. But then the next step is connecting with mentors, professionals, because the book is great, but then you have certain stories that are
mm,
tailored to you. Nobody has the same two issues or what have you. Um, in your case, first of all, I would like to know, did you study how to be a hypnotherapist, or was it what was your process? Who do you usually work with? And is this something that is available for people even if outside of
mm,
I know a lot of work right now is doesn't have to be done in person. It can be done online. How
mm,
does that work? And some people might
mm,
not feel as comfortable, although life has changed a lot and people have more trust with the process if it's
mm.
over the phone or online. But give us a little bit about that background and what it feels like to work. What does it mean to work with a hypnotherapist?
Well, I'm going to try to make it short. So, I first trained as a coach, NLP coach. So I did a 1 year course accredited in the UK, and I started to work with clients straight away. I love a mindset, learned a lot. Think about Tony Robbins. What is this NLP? It's really understanding the distillation of psychology, how you can use it every day, the best principles. And that was good. But there were some people that were really stuck and they couldn't move. And I thought, "Well, there's something here that subconscious is not moving. There's a story we're telling ourselves." So I looked around and I heard a lot about Marisa Peer and rapid transformational therapy, which is RTT. So in the end, I decided to invest and I did a course with her. It was 12 days live and then one whole year practicing and studying with them. We have online course and then meetings with others. And in those 2 years, I became also a clinical hypnotherapist. And then after that, I've done one whole year of Ericksonian hypnosis with Mike Mandel Academy, and that is from Canada, although he's originally British. And so then I have a really good understanding of what hypnosis is. It's part of psychology. Some people are terrified, but really we are hypnotized every day. We do things in automated mode all the time. It is not a big thing. And we're hypnotized by the content scrolling, by the news, by the advertising. Hypnosis happens. It's a state of relaxation when we absorb information without really thinking much about it. And we make it ourselves, our own information. We look at a picture of a nice, slender woman with a perfect velvety skin on the Instagram thing and we say, wow, I look so much older than her. We are hypnotizing ourselves every day with a story of how we are bad, we are a failure, we can't do anything. So we are in a constant state of trance, believing we're never good enough, we're never going to make it. And what happens is when we do that, we fail because we just instruct our mind to fail because the mind doesn't have a sense of humor. It's there to protect us from danger, like dying of starvation, being attacked by an animal. It is not there to give us happiness, it's to take us as far away as possible from pain and as close as possible to pleasure. So that's what it does all the time. So we have to re-educate our mind and say, okay, what I really want is this. I want to become, for example, an artist, an actor, a painter. What does it have to happen here? And then you hear the story you've been telling yourself, your internal narrative, and you say, is this story true? And just really think about as part of NLP, is this actually true or is just a story? And chances are, if you ask other people in your life, they'll tell you the story is not true. It's what you are telling yourself, but it's not the reality. The big thing of hypnosis is understanding that our thoughts are not the reality, they are representation. So we have a different map of a reality compared to everyone else. You can take 10 people, take them to a scene of an accident, they'll give you 10 versions of the accident. Why? Because we have a bias. You can have a bias because you're black, because you're racist, because you're bigger or smaller, because you're taller, because you're older. This bias is there to protect us. But when we are talking about chasing our dreams, you want to go to a coach, for example, to a mentor, to a hypnotherapist for different reasons. If you're doing really well and you just want to progress and get better, coach. If you want to have a little bit of help mentally, but you don't really have a problem, coach and counselor. If you want to know the techniques, mentor. But if you're stuck and you keep going back to the same old patterns, that's when you use hypnosis, because now you're accessing the subconscious mind and using the RTT method, not others. You listen to a recording for up to like 2 months and you are priming yourself with new ideas about yourself. And it's exceptionally good. You hear it and it becomes familiar and becomes part of who you are. But if you keep telling yourself critical, negative, failure-based statements, your mind will accept them, even to the point of creating disease. And I could go on with examples for hours, but hypnosis is wonderful that it's very gentle, very calm, very relaxing, and I saw people reversing autoimmune disease, headaches, anxiety, panic attacks, and they start to believe in themselves. We have to put away this story we've been telling ourselves and create a new story. And the body has a reticular activating system that is working all the time to find what is important for us. It's working all the time. So if I'm saying I'm going out and looking for a red, let's say, a red scarf for a dress, my mind will be looking, when I go to a store, I see all these colors, all these shapes, I'll be looking for red and it will find it, okay, if it is there. But if I'm not looking for it, I can't see it. All I see is lots of colors. It's confusing. So if I'm looking for red, I will find red. If I'm looking for something wrong, I'll find something wrong. And if I'm looking for possibilities, the RAS will be looking for possibilities. So it'll be working all the time, day and night, to find the possibilities. And that's what hypnosis does. It's teaching you again, your RAS, to focus on what you want and not on what you don't want. And you can do that online through cameras and Zoom, or you can do that in person. Some people that suffer from phobias are terrified of coming out of their house, but probably prefer online because they're in their safe place. Other people prefer to be in person. We are all different. It doesn't really, or you can do a mixture. You can do locally, or you can work with somebody in Australia. The important thing is to see what the therapist work is like. What do they work on? What are they specialized in? Read maybe some of the reviews, and then have a consultation. Look in the yellow pages of today, so Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and board of associations, and see what this person is like. Have a consultation. How does it feel like? Is this a judgmental person? Are they pushy? Are they friendly? Do they seem to have got the problem nailed straight off as you are talking? Then try them. Do at least one session. See how things go. It is not that you're signed up for life. You can try lots of stuff. This is also why I have a podcast, because a lot of stuff we do in a session is in the podcast. It's about rewiring your mind, giving you the chance to see that if you want to change your life, you can. And most people think they can't, but it's a matter of opinions. You have to believe in yourself first. I can't hear you.
Sorry, I had muted myself to make sure that I listen, that I don't interrupt you. Yeah, I think what you're saying is, so there's a process to it. And sometimes people who have had this story that's been following them for years and years and years, investing, I don't understand. I've often invested, so sometimes I have a hard time, and I understand there's maybe self-worth issues or whatever people think, or if they don't believe in a certain process. But if something has been a part of your life and you're trying to wire it. Okay. There's this wiring system and you're trying to undo that. It does take time. 2 to 3 months as a start, given that something for 20, 30 years has been following you, is not a very big investment. It's very important. But I wonder if there's a certain misconception people have about this process, because I see they'll go and invest tens and tens and or more thousands of dollars through a certain educational system that sometimes creates the very wiring that they have to unwire later. Because the school system, I've experienced, I've gone to university and everything, and I know that you're involved. It's like any culture, just like the culture that I came from my birthplace. There's certain university cultures that creates a mindset that you have to also undo. So there's so much undoing in the industry and corporation and all this. But what is it? I have noticed more people trusting this type of process, but is there a misconception about this type of process that prevents people, or is it more about them not believing in it, or are they of I don't know. To me, it seems like it's a natural way to invest in yourself. But what holds some people back from pursuing this process, as they would just counseling? But I just feel like this is a deeper look into yourself.
So what can block us is very simple. It's this story that we're telling ourselves. We think it's the right one because we said it so many times. And I always ask myself this question. First of all, is this story true? Could I take this to court? Is there evidence for this? And most times everything crumbles there. And the question I ask myself is, what am I protecting myself from when I don't take action? We have a lot of self-sabotage. For example, say that you're a woman, you have 2, 3 kids in the house, and you're like, well, if I become successful at work, I'm out of a house, so my children will suffer. My husband might leave me for somebody else, or my house will not be so immaculate, or I'll be seen as a person that is not very careful about her values. So we don't think this consciously, but subconsciously. Also could be something we heard in the past from when we were young. For example, when I was young, if a house wasn't clean and immaculate the whole day, I was a bad person. That was it. That's Italy for you in the 60s. So you had to clean the house, otherwise you lost your worth. So then when you get older, you're like, do I really have to have a house that is immaculate every day, the whole day, in every corner, so that you are worth it? Then you realize that, oh, wait a minute, if I'm spending all my energy keeping the house clean and immaculate the whole day so that I'm good, I will never have energy for a job, for art, for friends, even for my own kids, because my goal is to keep a house clean. But was that my goal, or was that the parents' goal? So when we grow up, we start, when we're 20 and 30, to question everything. Is the religion of my family true? Is the politics that I grew up with a good thing? Is the country where I'm? So we question because we are pruning the old synapses. We are growing, and we realize, actually, I don't really like that. So we ask ourselves, okay, I know I'm not satisfied, and I want to achieve this different hobby or career. Not everyone has to become rich with art, and but if I keep going like that, finding excuses, self-sabotaging, not doing the stuff, then I am protecting myself from what? Fear of failure, fear of not making enough money, fear of judgment, fear not being accepted, fear not being loved. All this fear. So fear and faith are on the opposite spectrum, and you get paralyzed. So analysis paralysis is a big thing, and it works even if you have 5 degrees and a PhD. You can have analysis paralysis. So the big thing about the problem is this. So we are used to a familiar situation when we are in pain, when we are unfulfilled. It's familiar, so we accept it. But there is a pain to not being who we want to be, to not do what we want to do. There is a pain. In the moment where the pain of remaining as we are, unfulfilled, is bigger when the pain of changing, then we are ready to take action. If we find the right person to inspire us, and when we say, no, that's enough, I can live another day without learning how to sing or play the piano or acting or paint or bodybuilding, because I always wanted to do this and I've always been stopped by everyone else. But hey, nobody else is going to live their life for me. I have to do it. So the pain is very important as we try to get away from pain, and change is painful. We to take our friends and say, you know what, I can't go playing tennis with you because I actually do not like tennis. I'm going to take roller skating instead. And we're going to be like, but we're doing that for 20 years. I know, but I really want to do roller skating. So, an
Yeah.
example. So why? Because we have to remember our mind is keeping us away from pain. It's not designed to give us joy. The joy we have to find in the small things of every day and see what is that makes me really happy. Is it cooking or is it cleaning? What's the big difference there? So ask yourself those questions and then have curiosity and not self judgment when you ask those questions. And write down. A journal is so good. Look in your old journals and see what did you write when you were 10, 15 that you wanted to do. And with a lot of unsatisfied people with master's degree, PhD, they want to change if they don't know what. You go back in hypnosis to a past where they started the little belief that they can never do art because it's not a proper job. They can never work because they're going to have children, so that's going to be interrupted. Or they can't work because they're immigrants, I don't know, African immigrants in Italy or Israel in Germany. I don't care what
There's
story it is,
always something, right?
something. It's always there. You take them back in hypnosis. We go back to the first scene when they felt the fear, when they felt the conclusion. Always wrong. I am not allowed to do this. This is not good for me. This is not available to me. I am not good enough. We keep it and we don't challenge it for decades, decades and decades. And then when we are hypnosis, we are relaxed. We're looking at our with curiosity, our subconscious mind, and say, huh. And so what happened is because our mind is a weather predicting device, it's always trying to guess what's going to happen. So our mind doesn't make decisions based on reality. It's all based on prediction that are based on the past. So it's good to learn from the past, but is it hindering us? Then it's time to untangle and unravel why we're stuck. And that's why I recommend go to a coach, go to a hypnotherapist, go and ask in groups what happened when they had hypnosis and coaching instead. Work with a person that will help you to really see clearly. Most of us are not seeing clearly what's going on. We see what we think it is. We ask just sometimes a person from outside, they will say, no, it's not like that, Franz. You've always been good at drawing since you were tiny. I go and ask my cousin, what did I do when I was young? Oh, you were always doing this, this, and this. You know, you go in hypnosis to all these unfulfilled people and they'll tell you, when I was young, I loved doing this, 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 and this. Oh, when is the last time you done it? Oh, yeah, when I was 10. And why did you stop? Well, I thought that a degree in economics was better. I had to bring money home. My parents wanted me to be part of a family business. And in my culture, women can't do this. And so now I'm there looking back. So I'm 40 and 50 and 60. And I can tell that as an art teacher as well, because I went to lots of art classes back in Norfolk in the UK. And the average people going there, 40 plus year old women who spend all their life serving others. They raise wonderful families, and now they're like, now it's time for me. I can do what I always wanted to do. And here they are, crochet, dance, painting, tattoos, exercise, visual arts, felting. They always wanted to do it, but life stopped them. And now they're like, hey, I can do this. And that's because menopause brings the synapses of lots of neurons that are just shed. They're shed completely. So you question everything again, like a teenager. Did you know that? Isn't that incredible? So there is a chance for us to change, but we have to understand what is stopping us, where do we want to go, and why we want to go there. The why is always the most important part, because otherwise you will lack motivation. You will start something and drop because you don't know why you're doing it. That's why podcasting, the majority of podcasters, after 7 episodes, they're finished. Their
Oh,
why,
really?
their why wasn't there. They
And
don't know
why?
why they're doing it. They think, oh, I'm going to be famous. Let me see, it's a lot of hard work. It's a lot of stuff to do, right?
And
And
like
so,
other things, it takes time. And
yeah,
you like just in this half hour, you addressed a lot of things I had prior to this interview. A writing ritual workshop that I do every month through the Authors Guild. And interestingly, the people that show up are women, and we were discussing a lot of the things that you're mentioning today about ways that we use distraction, scrolling instead of sometimes when we're supposed to be writing, procrastination. One woman was sharing how she does tend to like sometimes focus on the cleaning because it's just out of habit. And also, you see, these are the things that we are brought up with, and it just, we lean towards that. It becomes easier because that's what we're used to doing. So the act of the writing becomes more difficult, and you get more used to putting your desires on the side. So many of the things that you're sharing today, we were talking about them. So and this proves the importance of really looking within and connecting, whether with a coach or a community or people that see you beyond the lifestyle that you've lived, more so with the things that you've oppressed, maybe unknowingly. Friends, how can people get a hold of you?
so there'll be probably some links in the description, but if you just put up Franz Sidney or Create with Franz, there'll be 2 or 3 pages of Google. They'll come out. I have my website. I got a Facebook page, so facebook.com
So they
/
can
Franz
message you.
Sidney.
Okay, so they
They
can
can
directly
message me.
message you to work with you.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's very, you really understand the person inside and out, and especially like creatives who they do. Everybody needs some kind of emotional support or some type of support. But I think creatives, because we've been raised on this starving artist mentality, and that we have to all undo that. And with your help, I'm sure you've helped so many creatives. I loved connecting with you the first time when you interviewed me. I love connecting with you now, and and I'll be looking out for your work as it continues. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. It's been a pleasure, and I hope that your listeners will come back to you because you've done so much as well. Just all the fields you're touching with your storytelling, which I think is wonderful, So it's good that all us creatives get together and create amazing stuff on the face of AI. Woohoo!
I love it because it creates that energy, and I believe in energy work, the subconscious, all this, and this is how you create more of this type of community. So it's not this idea that after 7 or 10 or even 20 episodes that is just you're gonna blow up, which you could, but it's more about the consistency. And I've been doing this since 2018, and I'm really grateful. I feel that creating these kind of communities is what has opened doors for me in other areas. So I just believe in that type of energy. But again, thank you again. Thank you everybody for watching, and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.
Bye.